I've been doing a little bit of reflection on back when I was in college. And man, college had me doing some things that I would never do now. Basically, when I was in school, I was trying to save as much money as I possibly could. And me and all my friends, we were just constantly doing broke activities that are kind of crazy to think about now. And that's why I'm making this video. I just want to share some broke stuff that I did in college that is kind of funny now. And when I was in college, I worked, 20 to 40 hours a week, depending on the week. Pretty much the entire time I was doing my 4-year degree, and I was trying to invest as much money as I possibly could. So I really had to get creative with my shopping and the way I ate and just how I, manage my social life. Looking back, some of it was kind of smart, but some of it's kind of embarrassing and probably a little unhinged. So looking back, I want to talk about some of the things I did, what they were, and why I did them. All right, so the first one's kind of simple. I didn't really buy any textbooks. I said this in a previous video, but my major was accounting and business analytics. A lot of the analytics classes didn't really have books. We just had to use software to do our analysis on a data set. But pretty much every accounting class had a textbook, and a lot of the time they were, over $100 or a couple $100 to buy. And I just thought this was crazy because, you're already paying for the class, and now I'm using this book, and like half the time you never even open it. And I will say accounting, a lot of the time, it's a lot harder if you don't have the book. So if I did really need to buy the book, I would like split it with somebody or a couple of us, and we would just share it throughout the semester, or I just wouldn't buy it. A lot of times I could find old editions online or just some other supplemental material to help me understand the concept of what we were learning, like a YouTube video or something like that. And I did this a lot. I did buy a couple accounting books, but for the most part, I never really bought many of them. And I was still able to, do okay in the classes and get a good grade, but I just thought it was outrageous, and I just thought I could do it without it. And I was able to an extent. I mean, I think I would have learned the topics maybe a little better if I had the book, which would have made the exams and studying a lot easier. The second thing I want to talk about is just living off campus in an apartment or something along those lines of furnishing it. Now, while I was in college, I lived in the dorms, I had an off-campus apartment, and I commuted for my last semester. So I've kind of done it all when it comes to college. I've tried it in pretty much every way you can. Me and my roommate, when we lived in our off-campus apartment, we were able to furnish our entire apartment for around $50. I forget the exact amount, but it was around that. And we're talking 2 beds, 2 mattresses, 2 desks, kitchen table, 2 couches, TV stand, all that we got for under $50 total. Now, basically, we were just scrounging off Facebook Marketplace. I knew a guy that was moving, and he was throwing away a bunch of stuff, so I took a ton of it, like pots and pans and things like that. And we're just like haggling people on like Facebook for like free stuff. And our apartment was kind of a dump. It wasn't that nice, but we were able to furnish it and make it pretty nice for a very affordable amount of money that we spent. And this is a kind of funny thing. So we actually ended up building some of our furniture, like a TV stand, and my roommate built like a shoe rack. We would just have like scrap wood, and we would just build stuff with it. It was kind of crazy. Like, we're just like building like shelving and stuff for our apartment. But we would get it for free, so it was like, why not? I was also in Greek life when I was in college, so we have a lot of social events or like themed parties and things like that. We would just hit Goodwill, and we would just buy, like, my whole frat would just hit Goodwill and buy like random stuff that we need to dress up for X, Y, or Z. A lot of the time, I had an outfit that fit well enough or something. Like, obviously the theme and all that, it's like totally optional. Like, a lot of the time we wouldn't even do it or something like that. But if we ever really needed to, we would just like hit the Goodwill in the college town and then just use that. When I was a freshman, I went to a bigger school in the city. So I didn't have a car there either. So I refused to Uber. We would never Uber anywhere. Me and my friends never Uber. We would just walk it. Just be like, I'm not paying for an Uber. We just like walk. And it was sketchy sometimes, through some parts of the city, but this list is progressively going to get worse and worse of like how crazy what I was doing was. But this one's pretty standard. I mean, no matter the temperature out, dead of winter, I live in the Northeast, so it was cold out in the winters, we're like 0 degrees out. We're walking to the party, or we're walking to the restaurant we're going out to eat in. Like, we're not paying for the Uber. When I was living off campus, obviously I had to buy groceries, and me and my roommate would buy, like, he'll know what I'm talking about, but I want to talk about this specifically. We used to buy these like fish sticks that were like, not like, they were like packed with like nutritional value, but they were like super cheap, and they were like disgusting. And we would eat them like every week for like a whole year. And I can't even look at them now, like, or smell like fish sticks. I like hate it now, but we used to always eat it because they were like $5 for a whole bag. And I did plenty of other like crazy like food hacks. So the next one I want to talk about is the McDonald's app. And if you go on there, and you'll see like a free Big Mac. I think when like your local sports teams win, they'll put like a free Big Mac with any purchase on. So we used to go to the drive-thru and buy like a packet of sauce. It'd be like 10 cents, and then we get a free Big Mac with it. And obviously, like, the deal isn't structured that way. Like, you're supposed to buy, like, a drink or something, and then you get a free Big Mac. But we would just try to buy the cheapest thing on the menu, which would be, like, a sauce packet. We get, like, a ranch packet, and then you get a free Big Mac. And since then, McDonald's has actually changed. Like, they don't do that anymore. You have to spend, like, $1 or something like that. But it's so funny. Like, we used to do that. It was crazy. And like looking back, that's just like absolutely ridiculous. Like just get a drink. Like that's ridiculous. We used to also go on Reddit and find these like Burger King codes, and you would get like 2 Whoppers, 2 large fries, 2 drinks, and it'd be like $3. This was so long ago now that I'm thinking about it. I don't even know, but we used to go out on Reddit and people would post these like it was like look like a credit card number. I think it had letters in it too. I don't even remember. But we used to go to Burger King and give them these codes, and you would get like the whole menu, and it would be like $5 or $10. It was like crazy cheap. But yeah, we stopped doing that a while ago. But I remember doing that like my freshman year. Me and all my friends too. A lot of them lived on campus, and I lived off campus, so they would have like meal plans left, and we would always just like milk the meal plans to nothing. Like someone's got 50 swipes in the last week. Like we're just all like going and eating on his dollar because it's use it or lose it. But yeah, me and my friends used to always do that as well, just like using each other's meal plans. I feel like that one's not too crazy, but I forgot to mention it on my list. So a lot of people do this one too. We're drinking like the worst beer ever imaginable. Like the Natty Light type of vibe, Lucky Streak. That was like pretty standard across like my entire college. I feel like everyone was drinking like the worst, light beer that they could find. Getting back on track to some other ones, we never paid for any sports streaming service. We would just watch it another way. For legal purposes, I'm not going to say, but I think you know what I'm getting at. And yeah, we're just showing up to the house to watch the game. Someone's plugging their laptop into the TV and we're just watching the game. We're not paying for, YouTube TV. Looking back, some of these are a little bit over the top and crazy. Some of them I feel like a lot of people do. This is just like some stuff I did, obviously, but I think doing these things made me realize how resourceful you can actually be when it comes to saving a lot of money. And like I said, I was investing aggressively in college. I had over $20,000 invested by the time I got out of school. And some of this is ridiculous, but a lot of it taught me how to be, how to stretch my money to be able to do exactly what I want. And I had a financial plan and a goal when I was in college, and I was able to achieve that by doing some things that were a little crazy and a little weird. But yeah, I mean, I'm not judging anyone, and you got to do what you got to do to get to where you want to be. And I think it's important to stop caring about like, looking polished and stuff. That's all ridiculous. And you got to make sacrifices in your own life to get what you want and where you want to be. And sometimes you got to do stuff that's a little crazy. I don't really do any of that anymore. But yeah, that's just a little story time about when I was in school and some stuff I did. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think. I'll leave a comment. Thanks.